Hello students, I am Mr. Sandeep here, and the chapter of advanced finishing or say super finishing processes, we are going to discuss on different processes, right? So as per our discussion, super finishing or finishing processes are very important because our purpose is to finish the object prior to application, right? It means we have to do some finishing before putting our object in actual application, right? So in the chapter number 6, as per our syllabus, different finishing processes can be discussed in this chapter, right? So in the earlier session, we have discussed few processes for the super finishing or finishing process like grinding, lapping and honing. So let us start discussion on different processes for finishing, right? So here I mentioned the different processes that can be discussed under category of super finishing or say finishing processes, right? So here I mentioned the different processes for finishing operations, right? So let us start our discussion on various processes. So here I mentioned the first process, that is burnishing process, or also known as a burnish operation, right? So in the burnishing process, let us start our discussion and how this process can do the finishing operation. So in this burnishing operation or saying burnishing process, rollers are used, right? So with help of ball or roller and with help of rotation motion, your surface can be finished, right? So with help of roll or say roller or say different object or say spherical object, we can do finishing, right? So with help of ball or roller, so as used in bearing, ball bearing or roller bearing, right? So ball or roller can be used with help of rotational motion. You can do the super finishing or say you can apply the finishing, right? So here I mentioned the burnishing process and the video for the burnishing process. So let's have a look on burnishing process. So as per our discussion, one tool is used on outer periphery of which ball or say rollers are placed, right? So here with help of rotational motion you can apply the finishing, right? So this process is known as a burnishing process. So just remember, with help of rollers or say with help of balls you can apply the finishing and remove the fine layer that is not desirable, right? So after manufacturing of any object you can remove the outer layer. So for that this type of processes can be used, right? So here I am again discuss the burnishing operation, which a tool on which rollers are mounted, and with help of rotation and feeding you can apply the finishing to your object. So internal surface and also external or outer surface can be finished with help of this process, right? So this is known as a burnishing process. So after burnishing process, let us start discussion on another process, and that is buffing process, right? So as per the name buffing, this process is used for fine finishing of outer surface or say flat surface, right? So in the buffing process, one wheel is used, and in the buffing process this wheel can be rotated on the outer surface, and with help of contact the fine layer can be removed as shown in this figure, right? So in the buffing process, it is similar to grinding or finishing process in which one wheel with abrasives can be used, right? So with help of rotation of this wheel, you can remove the outer layer, fine layer, and apply the finishing here, right? So the finishing or dimensional tolerances are very close achieved in this buffing process. So in this buffing process, a loose abrasives can be applied on the wheel, that is also cloth wheel, and this process is known as a buffing process, right? So after buffing process, here I mentioned the barrel tumbling process. So as per the name, it is also known as a tumbler process or say barrel rotational motion process. So in the barrel tumbling process or say tumbler, what happens, as per the name, one barrel is used, right? So one barrel is used in this process, and in the barrel tumbling process, with rotation of this barrel, you can apply the finishing to your part, right? So after placing the small part in the barrel and with some abrasives, what happens, with rotation of this particular mass, your mass or say your object can be finished on outer periphery, right? So as per the name, in the barrel tumbling, one barrel can be rotated without or say with some or say about some hinge point or say about some axis without any vibrational motion, and this rotation can be helpful for finishing of inside placed objects, right? So small parts can be easily finished with help of barrel tumbling, right? So here I mentioned the view for the barrel tumbling, in which one barrel is rotating around one axis, and with help of this rotation you can finish your object in quantity or say in mass, right? So this is all about the barrel tumbling operation. So here I mentioned the powder coating operation. So as per the name here, coating is applied on the surface, right? So sometimes what happens, with help of paint or coating, you can improve your life of the component. So after actual manufacturing, our purpose is to increase the life of application or durability of your component, right? So for particular time span, that particular component will effectively work under conditions, right? So powder coating can be applied to the component to enhance or increase the life or say to reduce the chances of failure, right? So here I mentioned the one operation that is very useful, that is known as a powder coating. So in the dry state, powder can be coated on the outer surface of component so that finishing can be done and to increase the life of the component, right? So various principles can be used for the powder coating. So electrostatic principle is generally used, or with help of gun and electrostatic principle, you can apply the dry powder on the outer surface of your component. So here I mentioned in this slide the principle for the powder coating, right? So powder coating is very effective to increase the life of the component. So here I mentioned in this video the principle and purpose and how powder coating can be done. So for example, to the wheel rim, you are going to apply the powder coating. So one electrostatic gun or with help of electrostatic principle, from the gun the powder can be thrown to the surface of your wheel rim or object, and with help of this coating you can do the powder coating, or say powder coating can be applied on the outer surface to increase the life of component, right? So various principles can be used for powder coating, but our purpose will remain same, to apply the dry powder on the outer surface, right? So this process is known as a powder coating, right? So after powder coating process, I mentioned the polishing process. So polishing means, in general, to polish means to apply some layer, finish layer on some object, right? So with help of polishing, with help of some cloth or say some emery paper or some say abrasive particles, you can apply the polish to the surface, right? So with help of cloth you can apply the polishing by removing the external layer, or by say adding some layer we can apply the polishing, right? So here I mentioned that to the different component you can apply the polishing, right? So it is very useful for in any automobile industry, right? So for any car you have to apply some polishing to the outer body of the car, right? Because it is very attractive in the look and the life of that particular part will be enhanced, right? So polishing is a very general operation with help of which we can do the proper finishing to the outer surface, right? So in the super finishing processes, our purpose is same, to increase the life of component, to achieve the closed dimensional tolerances, while our component working will remain same or say unaffected, right? So for particular any machine or any mechanism, our purpose is to enhance the life of that component, or say with effective working of the component, we should apply the finishing to any manufactured component. So after actual manufacturing, our purpose is to apply the finishing, check the dimensional tolerances, and then put into application, right? So here for all the super finishing or finishing processes, dimensional tolerances are very close in term of 0.01 or say 0.05 micron, right? So micrometer or say micron is the dimensional tolerances that can be achieved in any super finishing or say finishing processes, right? So our purpose in the finishing process is to achieve the micron dimensional tolerances so that our part will effectively work in any machine. So this is all about the various super finishing processes. Thank you all of you.